We're here at the Summer CPL 2004, and we're with 4kings man J Kappa. How's the event been so far, and why don't you introduce yourself to the community?
Well, we got here like Monday, and we're just waiting for the event to start so we can actually play and just get on with the tournament, really.
What do you think of your team coming into this event? You guys missed out on the last DS World Cup event, but you guys have had a chance probably to practice. How do you feel about your team coming into this event?
Yeah, before this event we did like a month boot camp in Swansea, so we prepared well. So we're just waiting to play, really, and do our stuff.
You guys have a little bit of a different team than what you came with last time. You lost Magatti, and you've brought in a few other players. What do you feel about this team's chemistry, and how do you feel about your skill level coming into this?
Well, so far, definitely everything's worked as planned, really. We've worked together as a team, everyone having fun, and we're doing the job.
I heard that Dark is going to be your team leader. Is that correct?
Yep, he's going to Strats from now on.
How do you feel about that so far?
Everything's going well as well.
You enjoy talking with Dark, and some people seem to think that you're obviously the star player, I guess. How do you feel about that, and how do you feel about maybe yourself not being the team leader and him being the leader in of the strats and stuff?
Well, the way it's set up is just perfect for everyone. Once I was the star player, I'd say everyone has their day,
of course.
But
you guys have always been big on picking up Swedish, Norwegian players, but you're a UK-based team. How do you feel about that, and how do you feel about how the team as a whole, mixes in that talent from out overseas? I guess not really overseas for you guys, but you know what I mean.
Well, so far it's an international team.
Yeah.
But so far we've just done boot camps, so we've always been together. It's not like we've been separated.
Yeah.
So.
How do you mix the talent from the playing style, I guess, of those Scandinavian players with you guys? Is there a difference, or do you guys seem to mesh pretty well?
I would say most of Europe has a similar playing style, rather than difference.
You've always been a pretty big name player in terms of the community. I mean, you all the way back from the days when you played in NIP in the early tournaments, and you yourself have been a part of that team. How do you, part of 4K? How do you feel about that longevity of being, in the community for so long?
Well, I guess that there's been a different lineup for nearly every CPL we've been to, and it's just progressed, really. Maybe sometimes we've taken a step backwards as we've had different lineups and had to go over all the tactics again. But so far, I would say this is the best lineup and the most preparation we've actually done.
I think that's surprising for some people because of the loss to Wolf that you guys had in the S World Cup UK event. Do you think that there's a little bit of a drop in expectations for you guys? Obviously not in the 4K, or not in the UK, but for the rest of the world.
Well, maybe, but for that event we were just really a mixed team. We did no preparation before that. We just went and played. And I would say the hardware wasn't the best, like TFT monitors, so we couldn't use our skill to actually win the games. It was more down to team play, but as we're a mixed team, we didn't really have it there. But since then, that's when the boot camp started, after then.
I talked about Dark coming in. Who is some of the other players that you've brought in? I know you've brought in a player from Wolf. Who else have you, what does your lineup look like now?
No, we've not brought any Wolf players in.
Who is the guy that you brought? One? Was he from One?
No, he was from Infinite Esports.
Oh, yeah, that's right, okay.
So he came in.
And that is
Akuji.
Okay, thank you. I didn't want to have to say it myself.
Yeah.
Who are the rest of the guys you're going to have here, and where? Go ahead. Sorry.
There's myself, Harryman, Dark, Juvenile, and Akuji.
Juvenile's been really well known in the Norwegian scene. What prompted you guys to go out and pick him up, and how did you feel about that?
Well, we got offered the chance to boot camp in Brazil, and Schneiden couldn't make it at the time. So originally we asked Element to come join us. But he said he recommended Juvenile as a really good player, as he was playing with them in the WCG qualifiers. So we took him on board and just been impressed ever since.
And he's really been an impact player for you guys.
Yeah, totally.
You guys have had an opportunity to do showcase matches with some of the other top teams. You guys did one with SK. How did you feel about those showcase matches? What do you think of them, and how do you feel like they affected maybe your guys' game, or did they at all?
They're good events to go to. I would say for the SK showcase game, we didn't even have our real lineup. We had to bring in a player just because people couldn't make it. But everything's pretty much good now.
Do you enjoy those showcases compared to like an actual event where you got to practice for a bunch of games? Or I mean, is there a that feeling of okay, I can get one match done and be that relief of okay, well I've done that thing, or where you've got to practice for all these games and have the potential of playing 5 or 6 in a weekend?
I'd say that the show matches are totally different from events. The events you train for and you train for the maps. Mm-hmm. The show matches are more of like a sort of fun event. Mm-hmm. Just you don't really put in like hardcore practice or that type of thing. How
do you feel about your maps coming into this? We saw at ES World Cup, and I don't know how well you pay attention to that event, but we saw that those, the 3-map rotation, there was only 3 maps that could have been played, really, reduced the amount of maps that the teams need to practice for. Where here, you have potential of playing, maybe even 5 different maps in 5 different games. Do you guys feel like you're ready in all of those maps?
Yep. I'd say we obviously we have weak maps, but we're pretty much sorted on every map.
What do you feel are going to be your better or weaker maps in going in?
I'd say, well, we've only really played European teams, but so we can't really say like we don't know. We're pretty good on mill. We beat most of the European teams on mill and stuff like that. We're pretty good at train and dust too. I'd say probably Inferno's our strongest though.
Okay. Looking at that, you spoke of the European teams. What do you think of some of these American teams? I mean, they're not been performing as well in terms of on the international scene, maybe outside of TSG, and then I don't know what you consider NOA, but how do you feel about them, and how do you feel about playing some of them?
Well, from every CPL we've been to, European teams always been better than US teams.
Yeah.
Especially for ourselves, we played a lot of American teams. We've generally not really struggled with them.
So you're looking forward to playing some European teams. I think the Titans would definitely be a one that I think everybody was looking forward to playing after the way they did at ES World Cup. How do you feel about playing those guys?
I reckon it'll be a good map, whoever we play.
I think SK is another question I have to ask about. They seem to be a little off. How do you feel about playing that kind of a team that maybe they have a little bit more of a grudge on their shoulder? They want to prove everybody wrong. Would that be a tough match?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they've done a lot of practice since the last events, but I've lost to them 13-11 twice, so it's about time we win.
Yeah, it definitely gets tough. For you guys, what do you think the main goal is? What do you think you're going in here with? Are you top 5? Are you coming in here with what kind of expectations?
I'd say anything above top 5 is what we're aiming for.
And an improvement upon last CPL, of course.
Yep.
How do you think that it's all going to play out in terms of what teams do you really fear? Is there a team that you think you don't want to face, or is there any teams on certain maps you I would rather not play, or maybe I would play?
Well, we don't really have that sort of like way of thinking. We whoever we get, we're going to play. We're going to play our best.
Have you done a lot of research on other teams, or are you more focused on yourself during your boot camping?
Well, we know quite a lot of styles of other teams. Obviously, we'll probably watch demos before the games to see who we get.
I think that's basically all I had for you. Is there anything else that you want to, maybe some sponsors, anything you wanted to comment about, other stuff that's going on with you guys in 4kings?
Well, just like to thank the sponsors like Intel, Alienware, ATI, and IceMat just helping us get here.
I appreciate you coming up here. You really look forward to seeing how you guys do. There's definitely a chance for you guys to really break out, and definitely a chance to see how your UK-based, your international team is doing. So, look forward to it. Thanks, man.
No problem.